computer.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, everybody. My Sports Chat, our first podcast of the season. So let's get to it. Michigan football. I'm terribly excited. How are you guys feeling about it?
Pumped up, man. Ready to go.
Can't wait.
First time in a long time we've been able to say we're taking the field as reigning champs of the Big Ten.
Yeah, good point.
That has been a very long time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Long time.
We'll take it, right?
Yeah.
No, and the best thing about it is like younger people can actually see that now that it can happen.
Yeah.
You know, it's not just old fogies like us
Mhm.
jumping in and saying, you know, hey, remember when we used to be good? Well, damn it, we are good now.
Yep.
So, all right.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
first thing, quarterback. We knew we had a quarterback semi-controversy last year. People divided. We got Cade McNamara, JJ McCarthy. The big news was that we're gonna split them up. Cade's taking the first game, take all snaps all that week as a QB1, and then JJ's going to do it the second week. What are your thoughts, Pat?
But I like the thinking. I think you don't have preseason in college, so if it doesn't play itself out in their fall camp, if it's that tight, and they're the ones that are there all day, so they know the difference. I mean, they see it all. I mean, you can prognosticate all you want, but I think it's got to be tight. I think JJ, even though he's coming off the injury and the shoulder work, if he's back healthy enough to compete and have a say in the matter, I think JJ's the upside to JJ is really high, and that's something that I think even the coaches see. So. Although McNamara led him last year, this is a new year. He's got to earn his stripes still, and I think JJ's putting the heat on him.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think the great part about it is, though, you have two quarterbacks that can play. Somebody's going to get nicked at some point. They're going to miss some time, whether it's a couple of plays, a series, or whatever. It's great to have a backup in either direction. That is fantastic. My big thing as the season went on last year, I loved it when JJ came in the game because the defense went, holy crap. And they didn't know what to expect. And if you remember, and it didn't happen till late in the year, but just think of that Ohio State game, the pass he made to Roman Wilson down the sideline. I don't know that Cade can make that throw. And even the announcer thought it was Cade making the throw, and then, oh boy, he realized it was JJ. That had to confuse the Ohio State defense. He came running around that right corner, planted, and made that throw. Cade can probably make a throw like that, but the defense can't be kept. So I'm not a fan of, you have to have one quarterback or you have none. Is that the case with an offensive lineman? It's pretty darn complex for almost any of those positions. So yeah. I don't have a problem with two quarterbacks. If they can get along and understand that, then more power to them, and I think the team is better that way.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think JJ has a higher ceiling, but also a lower floor. Mm-hmm. So you got, a steady versus somebody who can take you to the next level, but can also drop you a level or two. I think it's great because it's not fair for the number two guy to all of a sudden, you see it when like the number two guy comes in when, somebody twists an ankle or something and they're out for a series. Yep. And it's just not clicking. Well, might be not clicking because the one number, QB1 gets 80% of the snaps
right
with the first team, and the other guy only gets like 15%.
Yeah.
And I get the math doesn't add up. I'm thinking of QB3 and QB4 through there. You math people, Michigan fans.
That's why you can't add that up. It's okay.
So, no, I think you're absolutely right. And when you said that, like, he comes into the game and they're like, oh shit. Remember when Peppers finally came in against Michigan State?
Yeah.
And they come in and then they call two timeouts on the same play.
Yep.
They're like, oh shit.
Had to.
It's like time. Like back up. Wait, yeah, he's in.
Yeah.
He's back in the game.
If he would
You
have
know?
ever thrown a pass, it would have really changed how good he was.
I agree.
Oh,
Not
Yeah.
really a quarterback, but JJ can do that. So.
Yeah.
But JJ's a little more mobile, I think, than Cade. I've said that watching him last year, that sometimes Cade really needed to pull it down and run
Yeah,
because they were so waiting. They didn't fear that the defenses were dropping and not really as scared that he was going to take it and go. And finally he started to later in the year, but I think that's something that he needs to do still. I know JJ is a better runner, at least right now, but
yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
All right. So, this, the season starts in a couple days. We're in prediction mode right now. Unless you're Nebraska, then you're in panic mode.
Yeah.
But their prediction mode ended last week.
Yeah.
So what's a
Although-
big prediction? Tom, let's start with you.
I'll take this one first. I think that we are going to be in excellent shape all year. Unless something really crazy happens, unless we have an injury with a running back or a couple of offensive linemen, I think we're going to win our first 11 games. I think we're going to be undefeated going to play Ohio State. That game is a crapshoot. It's always been a crapshoot. Playing in Columbus will be tough, but I think we'll be 11-0 going into that game. And to be honest, one of the things on our notes here is Corum rushes for 2,000 yards. I don't think that'll happen. Maybe 1,200 because Edwards is going to run a lot. He's extremely talented. I do not see them losing. There's how many elite teams are there in the Big Ten? 2. Us and Ohio State. That's it. No one else is elite.
If you ask them, the answer is 1.
Well, that's fine, but look what happened last year. We were picked to lose that game by a whole bunch. So that's my thoughts. I think we'll be 11-1
Right.
or 12-0.
All right. Let me ask you about Donovan Edwards. Here's my thing. I think Corum goes for at least 1,200 yards.
Mhm.
I think he beats Edwards by not too much. But I think Edwards comes close to 1,000 yards in rushing and receiving.
I agree.
Yeah, I think overall Michigan, they have that stumble game. They didn't have it last year. They came close a couple times in Nebraska, and they had another game they came close in that they
Rutgers
pulled out.
was
Rutgers
oddly
had to come
close.
back. So there were a couple games that went our way. So did we use them all up last year? I don't know. I know Iowa right now sticks out as a tough road game for us just because of the hype and depending on where they're at and where we're at going into that game, where do they make it a night game? Is it, whatever is going on there? So there's always that. And I really like Tom's idea of 11. I think I think we probably get up to that point again, barring any major setbacks and as far as personnel and that kind of stuff. But we became from the hunter to the hunted, in 1 year, and I think that's this year. I think people will have us circled on the calendar a little bit more. Even I know we're always circled, but
Yeah.
people are going to be pretty focused just because whenever you win it all, you got that pressure, and I think we had a lot of leadership we lost last year, but I still think it's feasible. I think our leadership with our coaching staff and Harbaugh, he's won 10 games 4 of his 7 years here. So percentages are pretty good that he's going to get back to 10 wins. So getting 11 is feasible.
All right. So what's your big
that, Pat?
prediction?
Go ahead, make your prediction, Pat. And I got one more thing I want to say.
What's your big one?
My prediction
Yeah.
for the season, I'm going to say
No, not for the whole season. Just what do you have? Do you have like JJ takes over in game 3 and never relinquishes it, or you have a breakout star like Devin
think-
Bush,
I think
where he
I
goes
think-
from 5 minutes a game to All-American.
Yeah, I think our hidden gem right now might be our receiving core and the strength we have there and the depth we have in our receiving core offensively. That if JJ can connect with him early on, and obviously against Hawaii, I think he's going to connect. But I think whichever quarterback connects well with him and hits them, and when they're in there, I think that's going to be a deciding factor. I think we have a lot of talent in that receiving core, and I think that's going to be a major factor. I just think our offense, if everything's clicking, I mean, Edwards, you saw what he could do against the Rutgers, was it last year when he got 10 catches? I mean, there's just so many things you can do with that kid, and he's even stronger this year. So, I wouldn't be surprised if we average 40 points a game.
Yeah.
All right,
I
do
mean,
you think
I can't see defenses stopping us.
we have the great wide receivers? Typically, that's not our strategy. What do you think about that? You think we're gonna change our
Well-
strategy with the new OC?
Well, you look at the Hawaii game that they played last week. I think the team rushed for 500 yards or 400. I mean, they ran all over Hawaii last week. So I think you think of that going into that game when Michigan hosts them in a couple weeks. I mean, you got to figure they're going to hand the ball to Corum and Edwards like crazy just to see if Hawaii's, adjusted their defense to stopping the run. And if they do that, then you throw it over top of them. So yeah, I'd be surprised if, we don't dominate in that running game and the passing game. I'd just be surprised if people have. I mean, they're going to need to do something. If someone figures out the secret to stopping us, then maybe we'll see. But
Where I'm encouraged there with you, I mean, I love your idea about the wide receivers, and I agree with it. Where I'm encouraged is they're not gonna have the JJ game be him handing off to people. They're gonna let him throw.
They
Yeah.
better have him handed on.
JJ,
You know what happens when quarterbacks stand back there and throw 60% of the time?
yeah,
They get hit.
Yeah,
yeah,
They get
yeah.
hit. And that's one of the reasons why McNamara was on his feet for 13 games last year, 14 games.
right.
Right, yeah.
He did not get hit very much.
Well, that's
No,
what's
that's a good
so out of
point.
the ordinary, though, is Harbaugh hasn't been the deep threat quarterback coach. He's been more of the control.
Yeah. Well, that's what I mean.
Passing.
And that-
So with Weiss and those guys decide that that's where we're going deep. We're going to go deep. We saw it in that spring game. They hit the freshman Warren deep on a couple long ones. So I think there's deep threats. Between Bell being back and some of those freshmen that they got, and Johnson and the tight ends. We haven't even discussed tight ends. So there's so many weapons out there right now that as a defensive coordinator right now, I would not want to.
Right.
I'd be
Yeah.
a little leery. And who do you stop first, and then where do you go from there?
All right. Well, okay.
The thing that I wanted to add to this is you got two quarterbacks that have a little different style, but you have proven you can win. And it's not all about Hassan Haskins. I mean, we had a great offensive line, and we have a great offensive line. So we will run the ball, and I'll bet you we run it 50% of the time. Maybe a little more, maybe a little less, depending on circumstances, trying to run out the clock, whatever.
Yeah.
I do not see us coming out and winging it at all. So that's part of my concern when everyone is raving about JJ. Oh, JJ can this and he can that. You know what? Can he look at that defense and make an adjustment on a call? And I went back and watched every game from last year, top to bottom, in the last month and a half. Cade McNamara had a hard time for the first 6 games reading defense. And you could tell if he looked to his right and it wasn't there, it was out of there. He had no other option. He was dumping. And you look at his percentages, they were pretty average. He'd go 7 for 14 in the first half for 70 yards.
Yeah.
A lot of that was yards after the catch because he's throwing little dumps. So will he throw it deeper? Maybe. Will he throw more to his tight ends? Maybe. I just think you got 2 guys, you got a great offensive line.
Yeah.
And we can win with that model. And let's not get crazy about the guy, the gunslinger that we have.
Right. Well, even last week, you looked at like Northwestern and Nebraska playing.
Yep.
They were 50-50. They were, as much as you thought Nebraska was winging it all over the place, they were actually 50-50. Same with almost Northwestern. It was, I thought, man, they've really been throwing the ball a lot, but really they were 13 off run, 13 pass. So I think that's what Michigan will probably, you look at them, as much as you think we're gonna gunsling it, we'll be,
I think so too.
we'll be right there.
And boy, will the fans complain after the Hawaii game when we're 2-0, we've averaged 55 points a game, we've won them both in blowout fashion, and we didn't throw the ball enough.
Yeah. Yeah, because the JJ game, he only threw 12 times.
All right,
What
exactly.
is your
And-
plan to let them go?
Yeah, and they won 63-7.
All right.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, yeah.
all right. So both of you think we're going into the Ohio State game at 11-0. What happens in the Ohio State game?
Unless there's a hiccup, yeah, but yeah.
So what do you think, Pat? Do they beat
I-
Ohio State?
I think, you know, how, I mean, over the years, you know, we should have won down there. I think a couple years ago and we didn't, you know, and whether or not, you know, if we're both in that same record, which I'm assuming Ohio State right now, according to the prognosticators, are supposed to be the same. So we both go in there 11-0, ranked 1 and 2, 2 and 3, 3 and 4. You know, I think after last year's experience, I think Michigan goes in there and probably pulls that game out. I'm thinking, I feel more confident this year than any other year in the last 10.
Nice.
So-
All right, Tom, what do you? All right, so
I don't know if I feel quite as confident. I guess it's gonna depend a lot on this whole quarterback situation as the season goes on. If we suddenly say when we're going to the Iowa game, well, enough's enough, we're gonna put JJ in. I'm not saying we win that Iowa game. I think if we all of a sudden just say, forget it, we're changing quarterbacks, the dynamic that you have on that team can change, and I'm not a fan of that. But, you know, if somebody's hurt, different story. But if you get to that Ohio State game and Cade has been your primary quarterback, I don't see him getting concerned about a play in that game. You know, I was a little concerned watching the Penn State game the first time when we saw it. And then when I was watching the replay, I watched it pretty close. And for 2 quarters, he looked like a deer in headlights. And to be honest, JJ was worse. And
Oh, yeah.
you know what? That 4th quarter, when it was time to make some plays, he made it. And
Yeah.
everyone goes, well, yeah, he threw a dump down to all, and all went for 50 yards.
All
No,
went to
he had
that.
make
Went
the
to
play.
this. Yeah, we made a play. We made a play. That's
Had to
usually
make
what
a
it comes
play.
down to,
Yeah.
make a play. Guys gotta make plays.
I think we can go into Ohio State and win, even if we have 1 loss going into it, which I don't anticipate. But we can go into that game and win it and get to the conference champion again. And I believe that if we get to the conference championship game again, I think we win it and we end up in whatever version of the playoffs that they have again.
Right.
Might not win it, but I think we'll at least be in it.
Well,
Division, our half of the division, the East Division, we will get to the national championship round.
will it be like Desmond predicted with Texas A&M, Michigan,
Wow.
Baylor.
Baylor, and Pittsburgh?
You know what? I understand the pundits are all picking, you know, the typicals, and until they get knocked off, it's hard not to pick them.
I give
Yeah, I agree.
I give Desmond credit, man. I give him credit for that, and I heard his reasoning behind it. And he
I
said
didn't.
Texas A&M. He goes, Texas A&M beat Alabama last year, and the feud between the 2 coaches and all that, and
Yeah,
Texas
I love
A&M,
that.
they've been stocking talent. They've had great recruiting teams the last couple of years. He goes, eventually they're on the field, and now they're coming onto the field. And he goes, he thinks Texas A&M could knock off everybody down there. He said the ACC's up for grabs. He thinks Pittsburgh could jump into that one. And Baylor, you know, has been consistent the last couple of years. And if Michigan goes through, yeah, I mean, feasibly, yeah, it could be there, but it sure as heck beats 10 out of 11 prognosticators is sitting there going Alabama, Clemson, Oklahoma, and somebody else, you know.
Actually,
It's safe though, because that's the way it's been for
You know,
10 years.
but yeah, but eventually college fan goes, turn it off. I'm tired of sitting here listening, watching that. I mean, that's comes down. It's like, it's, oh yeah, women's NCAA, UConn, Tennessee. All right. How many times you hear that?
I'll help you guys with this. Texas A&M will not win and beat Alabama this year. They're
Why?
playing in Alabama.
They're at Alabama.
Texas A&M at best is Clemson 15 years ago.
Yeah.
They step on their foot better than anybody.
Yeah.
And keep in mind, I mean, okay, so I'm in my 50s. Texas A&M has never, ever been relevant in my lifetime.
Right.
Not once.
No.
I mean, at best, they'd kick up their heels and like, yeah, again, I'm just making this up, but say like 88, they're 8-3.
Right.
Wow. Nice.
And oh, by the way, they
You
have
know.
to play Miami in their non-conference schedule.
Yeah, they're,
Oh, they're playing Miami, Florida.
And they're playing Miami at their place. But you know, you look at this, they have to go to Auburn. They have LSU at home. I don't, and then I don't see Desmond's picks coming to fruition.
yeah, me
No,
neither.
it's a long shot. It's a long shot, no doubt about it. But I was just saying, that what, you know, all the other guys just stay status quo, and then for him to come up and say that, I mean, obviously, you could sit there and say UConn against Tennessee or UConn against Baylor in the girls' college basketball. I mean, every year, same team, same team. Eventually, people go, all right, I'm tired. I want something new. You know, I want to see. I think
Yeah,
last
but the
year,
fans don't get to choose
Cincinnati
it.
and yeah, I know. I'm
They
just
stay
saying.
status quo because the sport stays status quo.
Like,
Yeah, but I'm just saying, eventually it gets to be where people are like, all right, why do we want to watch that over again? I'm tired of watching the same teams. You know, even in basketball, you know, Duke and North Carolina or Duke and
It's a
Kansas,
different,
Kentucky
I mean, that's a
and all
different
that.
conversation though.
Oh yeah, I know.
You know, I
I'm
mean,
just
you're
saying,
predicting what's going to
eventually-
happen. You can't just sit there and go, I don't want this to happen, so I'm going to predict it.
Yeah.
That sounds like a state fan thing.
Yeah.
Oh,
no,
come
I'm
on,
just
Pat.
saying.
No.
I mean, I'm just saying.
So-
Eventually, people get tired of Alabama. I mean, I heard last year, people, I just want Alabama to lose. Tired of them being there. But I mean, that's one way of looking at it. You're
Did
just
they?
tired of them being there all the time. You're waiting for somebody else to step up and take them
Yeah.
out. And, you know, Texas A&M's trying. Jumbo Fisher. I mean, Clemson tried. You know, Clemson could be back there again this year. I don't know. I mean,
All right. So Saturday, Colorado State, what's your score? I know you guys both predicted them to win.
go
What do you
ahead.
think the score is?
go ahead, Tom. You want me to go?
I'll go, but you can go if you want. If you got your number.
I think it's slow first quarter, second quarter, we come on, get things figured out because they got 25 new players on their team. They haven't played together all ever before, so I think it's gonna be a little us figuring them out. But I think once we figure them out in the second half, I think we open it up and win 42-6.
Good call, good call. I have more of a 48-13. I think that Colorado State, they'll get a touchdown somewhere. They'll probably move the ball a little bit, probably kick a couple field goals to get themselves to feel good. But I don't see them putting up more than 13 points.
Yeah,
What you, Griff?
I'm right in the same boat. I'm thinking like a 48-17 or something. I think they're going to score a little bit more. We got a lot of, you know, superstars that left the defense. That's the one thing that you guys didn't mention. And I didn't either.
Yeah, no.
You know, we didn't mention once what the defense is going to be. I think it's, you know, I can see him giving up a 7 on the first drive and maybe another 3 in the first half, and then maybe a 7 points when the scrubs get in there.
I think
something like that.
Could be.
No.
All right. So, all right. You know, we had week 0 last week. Week 1 starts in, about 45 seconds.
And actually, I think that there's another game. Was it Illinois played tonight against somebody? They
Oh
played-
yeah. Illinois, Indiana, actually.
Yeah,
that's not until next week.
No, I thought that was,
Oh.
I thought that was today.
that's
No,
tonight.
that one, I think I saw that. Well, I'll look it up. Go ahead, guys. Keep it moving.
All right. So I'm watching PSU Purdue tonight.
Yep.
Should be a good game. Purdue's on the rise. I thought Penn State has been on the downfall for 10 years. I think that's more hoping, but here it is again. I'm hoping. What do you guys think?
Go ahead, Pat.
I think Purdue puts a valiant effort together against the Penn State team. I think it's a close game. I think Penn State pulls it out though in the end by 3 points. I think it's going to be a good game. I think maybe like 24-21.
Okay. I think that it will come down to a field goal, whether it's a make or a miss, depending on who it is. But I think that Purdue pulls it out. It's at home. This is a monstrous night for them. And you know, they're
Yep.
the big event today. And I have talked to some Purdue alums that are down there right now, including a U of M alum that we know and love. He's down there. Right
Yeah.
now.
Yes, he is.
He said that the folks in Purdue are jacked for this game.
Yeah.
Oh,
I heard it's pretty tough there when they're really good. They got loud.
yeah. I don't know.
Yeah,
if
night game.
I don't think they have the talent, but they can win this game. So,
All right, tomorrow.
well, what do you think, Griff?
I'm with you. I think I think it's gonna be a real tight game. My logic says Penn State wins. My heart says Purdue. I want Purdue to be good. My next door neighbor is a grad. That doesn't mean anything,
Yeah,
but it's just I have a rooting interest in Purdue.
we added.
I think it's gonna be tight. I think Pat's score is right in that same boat. If put a gun to my head, I gotta go Purdue for home field advantage.
Okay,
Um,
comes
okay,
down to one of
so
those-
Michigan State and Western tomorrow.
I got you on this one. I read a story today. I didn't realize that Peyton Thorne's dad is the offensive coordinator for Western Michigan.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, no way.
I think that's where he came from. He transferred to Michigan.
Really?
So I think it'll be an interesting game. I think Michigan State's going to win handily. I think they're a very good team. We might not like that, but they're a very good team, and Tucker's a really good coach. I don't like him from a personality perspective, but a lot of people don't like Harbaugh because of his personality. But he's a good coach, and he's got enough talent there to win a whole lot of games this year. I think they're picking the over under at 7 or 7.5 or something for them. I think they're going to win handily against Western Michigan, and I bet it's a big score.
I think Michigan State sometimes in those first games start to be a little slow on the starts over the years. I think they got the more talented team. Obviously, I think they're gonna, a Thorne in the quarterback there, experience just like Michigan. But I think in the end, I think in the second half, State will get a few turnovers, get the stops that they usually get, and take control after a kind of a little nail biting first half. I think second half they open it up on them and win by 3 touchdowns. So I'm thinking
I agree.
38-20 or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah,
whatever
maybe
3
more than that.
touchdowns is.
I think defensively they're still going to be very good. So
Yeah, I think they're gonna step on them.
yeah, they're not great, but they're good. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're
right,
great.
let's-
Great usually.
Let's skip to the night game on Saturday. Big Ten, keep it in Big Ten.
Sure.
The big game is Ohio State versus Notre Dame. They don't play too often.
Go ahead, Pat.
Ohio State, Notre Dame's, obviously 2 historic teams going head to head. Haven't seen them in a while. Down at the shoe, anything in the shoe, you never know what's going to happen down there. Sometimes the luck of the Irish probably won't be lucky in the horseshoe. So I think Notre Dame, new coach, everything, going into that game and the replacing everything. I think they're tight. I think they'll battle early on. And I think in the end, the Buckeyes are going to come out on top by probably a touchdown. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I don't think Notre Dame gets blown out usually. I think Notre Dame always hangs tough. So I think Notre Dame's going to hang around, lose by a touchdown, maybe 38-31, something like that.
You guys remember the first half of the Michigan State Ohio State game last year? The first quarter, actually.
Oh, yeah.
The first half, I think.
Yes.
28-0.
I do.
28-0 or whatever.
No, it was like 49-0 at half.
Yeah, 49.
First quarter though. I'm saying first quarter, 28-0 every time we look.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that the entire offseason at Ohio State has been geared toward one thing: score points. Because the thing that they missed in the Michigan game was not the fact that they made mistakes. They didn't make mistakes. They just didn't get in the end zone. There's 3 or 4 times in the second half where they couldn't get first downs on third down. I think they're going to put up 50 plus against Notre Dame.
I agree.
And I think Stroud's going to throw for a crap load of yards. And their running back is going to run for a crap load of yards. I'll bet you that in the first half, Smith and Jigba has 2 touchdowns himself, passing, receiving. And I'm not sold on Freeman as a coach yet. He didn't look good in the bowl game. And I know he was kind of thrust into that at the end of the season. And he's had an off season to prep. I just don't think they have anywhere near the horses to go into Ohio State on opening night at the beginning of the season. Now I know Oregon did it last year, but Oregon's a different type of team. Notre Dame's not a ground and pound and doesn't have the speed that Oregon has. So I think Ohio State's going to win huge. They're going to cover easily. I think the line is what, 14. So.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think Ohio State's an elite team. I think there's only a couple of them. And despite what Pat and his fans want, we see what happens when a good team faces an elite team.
Yeah.
When the elite team is motivated.
At home.
All right.
Opening night.
Yeah. So look what happened with Michigan, who was a really good team last year, but they weren't elite. They got their asses handed to them when they played an elite team.
Yep.
All right. Look at, Notre Dame, like Pat says, they rarely get blown out. They get blown out every time they play an elite team.
And by the way,
Their schedule isn't what it used to be.
Yep. They got.
They used to say, oh, they play the greatest schedule. They don't play crap anymore.
Yeah.
They drop their, even they don't play a good schedule. When they play somebody elite, they get their ass hammered.
Yeah.
And they're going to get the Ohio State's elite. They have talent everywhere, and they're going to get hammered. I'm looking at, again, 56-10.
Yeah. Thank you. I'm saying they're going to put 50 on them. And you know what? Ryan Day is going to be standing on that sideline with his foot on the gas pedal.
Absolutely.
They might be up 30 at the half, and he won't slow it down.
Nope.
I could see that. I know that's what that's what they're all about down there, is win big and blow people out and embarrass people.
And
So
yeah. There's a lot to be said for scoring a lot of points. And you know what? Michigan needs to average 40+ points a game to win this year. Ohio State's going to do that.
I agree.
No debate. They're going to average over 40 points a game. They did last year, even though we beat them.
Yep. All right. Any final thoughts for the first podcast of the season?
No,
Georgia, Oregon, or no Georgia, Oregon?
No.
Games and watch them. Let's have some fun and then recap.
All right.
Oh yeah, no, it's gonna be exciting. I'm excited for that first week. Finally get some games here and to be in Ann Arbor and sit in the chair there, watch them again in the end zone, and looking forward to the whole, the whole atmosphere down there. Get back at it again.
Should be a great time.
Yeah.
Awesome.
All right.
All right. That is my sports chat for week
Greg.
1.
Good job, Patty.
Yep. Good job, fellas. We'll see what
Go
happens.
Blue.
Very exciting. Go
All right.
blue,
Go
baby.
blue.